In 2008, on Christmas Eve, a horrific massacre ripped a family apart, leaving 10 dead. The killer knocked on the front door dressed as Santa and carrying several pistols as well as a wrapped package. Within that package was a homemade flamethrower that this vicious monster used on his victims. What makes the attack even more gut-wrenching was the fact that the perpetrator was the ex-husband of one of the victims, who had come for revenge on her and her family as they celebrated the holiday. None of the attendees of the party were safe as he shot anyone, from his young niece to his elderly in-laws. Once he was done, he torched the home with several gallons of gasoline before he made his escape. Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, The Santa Claus Massacre. Bruce Jeffrey Pardo was born in the San Fernando Valley of California on March 23, 1963. He graduated from John H. Francis Polytechnic High School in Los Angeles, then attended California State University in Northridge to study computer science. After graduating, Pardo went to work as a software engineer at the Jet Propulsion Lab in La Canada, Flint Ridge. Friends and colleagues remember him as a friendly and smart man. At work, he came and went as he liked, often vanishing at a report of snow to go skiing. He even hacked the computers to find out his coworkers' salaries. He did not seem to think that others mattered much. In the late 1980s, Pardo was engaged. His fiancée used her savings to pay for their wedding and honeymoon. Instead of going through with the ceremony, Bruce drained the last of the money from his fiancée's bank account and went to Palm Springs. By 2001, he was living with a different woman and their son. In January of that year, their son fell into the pool, and Pardo's girlfriend came home to find him screaming and holding their child. Pardo stayed by the hospital bed for a week, but when the doctors determined that the young boy would not regain full brain function, Bruce left, and neither the child nor his girlfriend ever saw him again. In 2004, he met a woman named Sylvia Orza. They were introduced by a coworker, Sylvia's brother-in-law. No one could know what horrors laid in store. They only knew that Sylvia and her 3 kids could use a man and a second income stream, and that her kids might help ground Pardo. On January 26th of 2006, the two married. While the marriage started off pleasantly enough, they descended into arguments over money, and Pardo became withdrawn with Sylvia's family. After a while of trying to make things work, the couple split up. In June of 2008, a judge ordered Bruce to pay child support, which he never did. Meanwhile, he had begun planning an act of violence that would mar the Christmas holiday for countless people. From June to November of 2008, he bought 5 9mm pistols, 1 per month, which was the maximum allowed under the law. In September, he also obtained a Santa suit to wear during the attack. On December 18th of 2008, the divorce was finalized, pushing Bruce Jeffrey Pardo over the edge. On Christmas Eve, Sylvia and her extended family were having a holiday party at her parents' house. Around 11:30 p.m., most were gathering near the front door, preparing to say goodbye. Pardo knocked on the front door wearing the Santa suit with 4 of his pistols and a large package that was wrapped to look like a gift. When the door opened, his 8-year-old niece, Katrina Yusupolsky, saw him and yelled out that Santa had come. As she ran towards him, Bruce shot her in the face. He then proceeded to fire upon the more than 24 people as they fled. The little girl's uncles were shot next. Charles and James Ortega tried to fight off the shooter despite their injuries. As Pardo moved through the house, executing people as he went, the 8-year-old girl's mother, Leticia Ortega, called 911.
He's shooting! He's shooting!
What's your address? Ma'am, I understand. I need to know your address.
When he shot, I heard the shots and they were like poppers and I wasn't sure what it was, so everyone started panicking and running, so we all dove under the dining room. Some of us dove, some of us left. I don't know. My daughter has been shot. She was shot in the face on the side and she's bleeding.
I know. I let the officers know. The officers are making sure it's safe for the paramedics to
I
come
need a
in.
bandage, please.
Bruce had been recognized, and she was able to tell authorities who the killer was. He was indiscriminate in his shooting. No one was safe, but he paid special attention to certain people at the party. He killed his in-laws, 70-year-old Alicia Ortega and 80-year-old Joseph Ortega. Both died as a result of several gunshots, as was his ex-wife, Sylvia. Her brothers who had tried to stop the killing, 52-year-old James and 50-year-old Charles, also did not survive their injuries. Bruce also focused some of his fire on 3 of his 4 sister-in-laws, 45-year-old Sherry Lynn, 52-year-old Teresa, and 46-year-old Alicia. When the shooting was done, Pardo unwrapped the package that he had brought. Inside was an air canister that he had converted into a flamethrower. He then drenched the house in gasoline and ignited it. More people were injured as they jumped out of the upstairs windows. Upstairs, the youngest person to die that night, 17-year-old Michael Ortiz, had been working on his computer. As the home was engulfed in flames, he was trapped and burned to death. The inferno was so intense that it took 80 firefighters well over an hour to put out the flames, as they reached as high as 50 feet in the air. Leaving death and destruction in his wake, the psychotic killer changed clothes and drove the 2008 Dodge Caliber he had rented to his brother's house in Sylmar, California. Then, Bruce Jeffrey Pardo parked and placed one of the pistols in his mouth and blew off the top of his head. His brother got home and found him there around 3:30 a.m. on Christmas Day. Some speculate that Bruce had not intended on ending his own life after the attack, and evidence does support this. He had $17,000 in cash strapped to his leg, and in his shoe was a plane ticket to Illinois. Around the corner from his brother's house was another rental car that he had planned to use as his escape. But things did not go to plan. When setting the fire, Pardo had burned himself badly, which may have led him to scrap his escape plan, and instead end his own life. Fearing that Pardo had rigged his cars with explosives, police called in the bomb squad. As they worked to neutralize the flammable substances and explosives that he had hidden in his cars, one of the devices accidentally was set off, and the car was burned badly. This horrific case will go to show you that you can never really trust or know anyone. Be careful and protect yourself. And of course, thanks for watching.